I'm not sure what the process was for selecting me for this honour, but I do want to say how honoured I feel, and surprised as well. Somewhat ironic in a way. I didn't distinguish myself at King's. I wasn't always second to Peter Montgomery, but that's what I'm remembered for. If I hadn't been behind him, he wouldn't have broken the record. So I actually deserve more credit than I've got. But anyway, that's life. I did enjoy King's though. And probably like the previous speaker, I could say I actually loved King's. Not because of anything going on in the classes, I hasten to add, but because I just enjoyed the society of boys, I suppose, without the complication of girls. They were across the fence, and in the end I found a girlfriend across the fence, but we weren't allowed to talk to each other in the school premises. It's a particular pleasure to be in France here tonight, because one of my great pastimes at King's was playing cards. He just told me he didn't gamble, so that's probably why no money ever changed hands. But we had a 500 school that ran for years, despite cards being illegal. So I'm not quite sure how this happened. I also enjoyed, not so much the organised sport, though I did enjoy that, but the fooling around at playtime. I remember in the third form we had a sort of peculiar mix of tag and British Bulldog at 3L. My parents were very keen I be in 3L. That's 3 Latin for those of you who don't know. It meant I was going to the professions, they hoped. And I won. Anyway, that's another story. And touch footy at lunchtime. Anyway, that's enough about King's. As Hugh Kidd said in his citation for me, I never won a history prize at King's. In fact, I didn't actually enjoy history much. We had to study the history of Britain and the history of Europe in the 19th century, if I remember. And we had a young teacher whose name mercifully escapes me, who would write up what we needed to write down on the blackboard.
Ian Page.
No, it wasn't Ian Page. No, he became a good friend. No, I think this teacher was just nervous. Probably fresh out of Teachers College, confronted with a rambunctious bunch of 17-year-olds who didn't really want to be there. Anyway, he wrote it all down, and we had to write it all out in our book, and then in the exam we had to write it down on the script. And that was the way to progress. Anyway, at university, as the chair said, I think I worked quite a lot harder, but they did capture my interest, and there was a wide range of choices. And so, like many in this room, I was part of a very lucky generation, of course. I was just before the baby boom, which was going to be like a tidal tsunami coming in behind, lifting all in front of it to heights they could never previously have dreamt. And so, to my parents' pleasure and my own astonishment, I got a first-class honours and a scholarship to the States, and never looked back. Could have all turned out quite differently. I sometimes say to people, being an historian, that I wasn't only lucky because it was a world I came of age in a world of full employment, expanding opportunities across a range of fields. I always remember one of the jokes as I left school was the teacher, I think it was Major Hamilton, terrifying Major Hamilton, who got totally sick of Montgomery and McCarthy incessantly talking to each other about sport, and riled them up by saying, "Pay attention, you two. You're never going to make a living out of talking about sport." And he was wrong.